So, I'd like to share an experience I had back in 1992, but I want to say from the outset that I have no photos and no proof of my claim. I'm choosing to share this because you will hopefully find it of interest, and because I would love to hear from anyone who's encountered anything similar. I've posted this online before, but never to Reddit. It takes place in Huddersfield, UK on the 22nd of June, 1992. I would estimate it to be approximately 3 a.m. I'm confident of the date as I had just returned home with my family from a big family get-together. I was 9 years old and had never been allowed to stay up nearly this late, so I was pretty pumped. I already had an obsession for UFOs, having had an experience the previous year, and would spend hours after being sent to bed staring out the window. Tonight would be the first time I had a chance to do so in the small hours. As my parents, my sister, and I walked up the garden path, I was already scanning the horizon. 2 bright lights caught my eye, blinking and moving slowly from north to south, left in my field of vision. Here the boy who cried wolf blew his chance of getting a second witness, as he proudly declared to all present, "See, UFOs are real. They're just stars, shut up," came the response. Well, after getting ready for bed, I sit myself on my windowsill to take up my nightly vigil. They weren't stars, they're gone. A quick glance left and right to see if I can see where they are, and there it is. A diamond-shaped object hovering lazily just over the house across the street. Imagine a cube that stood up on one of its corners, jet black in construct against the city lights, but this thing is lit up like a Christmas tree. On the 4 corners that form the outer ring, there are bright lights, 1 red, 1 blue, 1 orange, and 1 green. They're flashing sequentially in a clockwise fashion. Between each of these are a set of 4 smaller lights, again 1 of each color, and these are staying lit but flicking off very rapidly, running clockwise around the object. I really struggle to estimate the size as there is no real reference frame, not knowing how far away it was, but I would guess about the size of a large car. And it just sits there, swaying and rotating slightly. I shout for my sister. No response. Again I try. "Come look, a UFO!" "Shut up," I said, "they're just stars." I turn away from the window for a moment to plead her to come, but no sail. I turn back to the window and the object is gone. No, not gone. Moved. It had moved vertically up about 15 meters, and it was now plummeting in what seemed like a free fall whilst tipping over away from me. It disappears behind the houses across the road and presumably into the field beyond, before quickly raising up to the left of where it had fallen as though it had swooped in a U-motion. Only now it had turned, so what was the bottom of the object was now facing at me. Right at me. I froze in fear. I felt an awful dread. I had no idea what it was doing, but it was aware of me now. I snapped out of it and threw myself under the bed sheets. Nobody else saw it. I did tell a school friend about it many years later. He told me about an experience with an almost identical object when he lived in a different town, only he described a white light or opening on the bottom. I'm a little fuzzy on the details after all these years, but I eventually convinced myself I imagined it and just got on with life. I fell out of love with the UFO thing as it's impossible anymore to dissect the truth from the hoaxes. Though, earlier this year, the bug caught me again, and I was reading up on some of the more trustworthy cases. It's then when I came across the Tehran 1976 case. Now, I remember reading this one years ago, but this time I also did a Google image search and it put me into a state of shock. It's so close to what I saw. It's missing the edge lights and it's got white on the top and bottom, but it fired me up. I needed to start looking again. Then I found this. A report from the same town in the same year, just a few months off, admitting they might not have the exact date correct. Seeing the same light pattern in the clouds, saying they remember other witnesses too. I know that this doesn't prove anything to you, but it confirms to me that it wasn't a hallucination, that I saw this thing, and I would love to know what the heck it is.
Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, submit, obey.